Hello and welcome back to Feed the Beast Ultimate for Minecraft version 1.4.7. I don't typically record myself building, but I figured that I wanted to show off what I want my sort of main base to be. I'd like to construct a sort of mountain behind it and make a sort of big gaping maw, sort of angry face here because of the whole Feed the Beast thing. I've done a little bit of preparation. I hollowed out the landscape and cleared away the forest, and yeah, now it's just a matter of actually constructing the thing. So the way I'm doing this, by the way, is kind of amusing. I took a picture of myself in a sort of vaguely terrifying formation. I I got, a facial expression that just evoked malice and anger, and now I don't have any internet on my phone, so I can't actually pull up the reference picture that I had in mind. This is the worst. Hang on. But yeah, basically I took a picture and then I reconstructed it in such a way where I could kind of pick out the defined features and shapes of it. All right, so I've returned and look, we've got a freaky face. It's kind of, I must admit, doing facial features in Minecraft is really hard. You kind of got to get like a bit impressionistic with it. Um, but from this angle, it's pretty good actually. It's like it's kind of aggressive. You can't really get like a big angry mouth unless you make it huge, and I didn't want to make it like too big. Um, it's kind of a bit vaguely sort of Easter Island head or whatever. But yeah, so here we have the mouth hole that we can use as the entrance. But yeah, there's nothing much detail wise going on in here. So I'm gonna get the other half constructed, and then we'll be able to see the full thing. All right, just putting on the last few just tried to put up the last few touches here. We're nearly done with both sides. This is kind of a quite the taxing endeavor, but I think the final reward will be very much worth it. So let's get rid of this scaffolding now because I think that I no longer need it, at least for what I have now. So there's that. I'll get rid of that later. But let's take a look here. And now we have this. We have this face. This is actually, you know what? This is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. He's kind of got a bit of a unibrow going, which wasn't exactly my intention. That was just supposed to be the bridge of the nose. It's a little bit intense, but it's pretty good. He kind of, because of the way the eyes look, he's got more of like a shocked facial expression than he does one of one of anger and agitation, which was kind of the goal. So what we might end up doing to sort of remedy that is to actually narrow the vision. So let's get some cobblestone here, and we can come up there and we can do this. It's sort of, this is my process. Is I'll come down here, I'll look at the face, and then come back up, and then try and put on some details. So what we can do is if we do this, that'll sort of narrow it up the eyes a little bit. So now that they're kind of squinted at the edge, you might think. And then if we go like this, we can block that one off. Maybe something like that. And that'll bring in the eyes pretty narrow. And that looks pretty all right. So I'll mimic that on this side as well. Then if I come down again, I can never get used to the double tapping sprint. I'm so used to the sprint key that I've had bound for just years now, where I press R to run. Wait, what? I just hit R. Wait a second. This has sprint key? There's no way, right? Vanilla sprint. Oh my gosh, it does have a sprint key. I totally forgot. I bound that. Gosh, it's been a while, but that's pretty okay. Yeah, there you go. That's a bit more intense of a thing. It kind of makes the eyes look a little odd, but it certainly captures the sort of angry effect that we're going for. And then once I, mess up the mouth a little bit, that'll work. Um, I think pretty well because from this angle, it's actually pretty good. Again, we'll get a little bit of a higher vantage point, and then we'll be able to see slightly more. This is actually pretty great. I'm quite pleased with that. Um, It's very much flat as of now, just because the cobblestone, there's nothing I can really do about that until I get in there with the textures. But for now, the next stage is actually going to be to create a mountain. So if you can imagine, I might go in like in post or something like this. Like I'll get a screenshot here and then maybe go in there with like a pen or something and show you what I'm talking about. But I kind of want to create like a rolling hill that sort of captures over this and sort of spreads out across the site. Now I don't need the mountain to be too tall. Like I don't need like a huge peak. Although that could be fun. Maybe I'll expand the cliffs once I actually get them set up. And further down the line when I need things high up in the air. But yeah, so we'll build it sort of up like this and around. And my plan is to sort of have like some sort of arch here of dirt that connects this up with the lake and eventually with the river that's sort of over there, hopefully. So that's sort of my plan initially. But yeah, so I'll get started working on that cliff. I'll come back and then we could take a look at what I've done there. So, by the way, I'm gonna sleep again because it's coming to night. But I would like to show off building. That's something that I'd love to do. I'd love to talk through my process with that, but it's very difficult because with these older versions, especially, I don't have any way of really recording myself from a sort of third person perspective. And with a time lapse format, it just doesn't really work very well for first person. So it's kind of one of those things where I've just got to wait and try and figure out new methods to do that. So I'll sort of research that behind the scenes. But anyhow, I'll get to work on the mountain and then come back in a little bit of time. Oh well, it's been a while, and as you can see from behind me, I've made a lot of progress. Now, of course, I'm not done, nowhere near, Christ. But I actually completely ran out of dirt, so I guess I'm gonna have to call it here. I still have a lot of land to clear out, so I'll get some more that way. And I'd really like to get a silk touch shovel, before I continue, and also find maybe another way to get some dirt. But I'll save that for another time. But just look at this cliff face. We've got, the mountain sort of curling up here. We got this one. I kind of want to redesign this cliff a little bit, but I wanted something that would just like flat and just sort of like curve up over the water so you could have something sort of rest up there because I thought that would be quite eye-catching. But yes, I'm very pleased with this. I like the way that this grass sort of clings. I wanted segments of stone to sort of burst out and then otherwise just sort of have this like gentle rolling grass that sort of carries it up across everything. So I'm very pleased with what I've been able to accomplish. Now there is a skeleton here and I need to be careful because I've broken all my armor over the course of the past couple days. Yeah, like I said, this all needs to be pushed back very far. And then this does actually link up with my home. So that's really nice. Now I have a way in. Do I have any food? No, I don't. I was hoping to restock stick quickly, but anyhow, I could come out this side and we can sort of wrap my way around and talk a little bit about, what the plans are for future episodes, if you're interested in that, and just a little bit about the building and so on. So if we come out here, I wanted a bit of an archway over this, so I was quite pleased with that. I want to be able to take like boats through here. Maybe at some point I'll even build a boat because I'm sure there's something a reason to do that. But yeah, just look at this. Like passing through this tunnel is pretty great. It's like a lazy river with how slow I'm going. And then it leads up to another section of the stone, which matches into the cliff face, as you can see here quite well. Quite pleased with that. So I wanted different branching sections of what it would be. So you have like a very slow roll with like an arch, and on the other side like gentle rolling hills that lead into it. And then here, I wanted sharp stone that leads up to where the rest of the mountain's going to be. And then once again back into sort of rolling hills to connect it with the rest of the terrain. Because I want my mountain to link with the natural flow of everything. So once it's all built and I get everything happy, like some of this looks a little too perfect. So if I rough it up a little bit and then get some bone meal going so I can have some grass, it'll all blend really well and just look like a nice structure. From the back, looks pretty messy. I've had to clear away more of the forest actually out here at the back to make room for it, but you can see that it all sort of wraps around and connects with the landscape. So sort of connects with this, it's following this natural curve here and around here, and then sort of back up, and we have another sharp cliff here, which then connects to back around to where the start is. So there we are. Now, I would have completed this cliff had I had the materials and also the time. This is a very time-consuming and somewhat dull process. It's relaxing, I'll grant it, but also very slow and kind of frustrating because you have to build something and then jump down and run away and look at it and say like, okay, is this how I want it to look? And then if it's not, you got to kind of repeat the process. So either way, up here you can see I've laid the foundations of where it's going to be, but essentially once I get the mountain, the general shape should be somewhat like a crescent moon, maybe, or like a banana. I guess you might think of it as. I'll look in the top right. I'll draw the sort of shape of what I want the mountain to look like, and then then you'll understand. But yeah, so this stone will all flow around that, and then this will reach up to like a high peak, like sort of, you know, however far I want it to go or whatever. I'll try and match. It's going to be somewhat standing out in the landscape, I'll grant it, but, anyhow, like I was saying about completing the process, while I would have completed the mountain, I'm actually somewhat glad I didn't because it allows me to map out structures and it means that I'm not confined to a certain space. Now, this is already huge. I don't know if I'll be able to fill even this amount, but I do want to create a floor plan and basically say, like, okay, where do I want certain things? Where do I want it laid out? So next time around, I'm going to fill this empty section here. I'm actually going to use this top part of the mountain here, like I talked about, for a building. And what I'm going to do is actually put that pigmen spawner there, because pigmen make a lot of noise when they die, so I want it away from the rest of my base. This seems like a nice far juncture. It's within the range where the noise won't travel, but it also means that my gold-producing farm will be right next to me. So yeah, stay tuned for that if you're interested in seeing how I just completely destroy the world and everything in it. So yeah, either way, I've been Wilder. Always glad to have you tune in. Feels great. Let me know if you want more building videos. I know this is a little rough and ready around the edges. It's a lot harder to walk through a mountain and organic processes than it would be for me to just be like, okay, here's how I build a house. But either way, yeah, thanks for watching. I'm done here.